Issues.
Okay, so this session came to being when Wanderer kind of posted on programming chat that how do you kind of process a bunch of JSON files, and there were like bunch of replies, and then we got on a call and uh, we did a data generation exercise also that can be covered at the end of this session. But the idea was that okay, you can get a lot of stuff done just with Unix command line tools. And the core magic is piping, how you can pipe a lot of these commands together to get work done. I have a rough outline of like what the problem is. We'll state the problem, we'll look at data, and we kind of do like a bunch of questions to this data and see how we can get there. We just have fresh data of Google Drive from Wanderer, so let me look at that. Even I have not looked at this data. It's just a bunch of directories, and each directory, I believe there will be more files. Yep. Right, let's look at one of these files. It's just a JSON, right? And one of the things that we want to do
Are
is,
you showing the file?
oh my bad,
The
I need to switch my screen. So yeah, I'll just cut out that part from my recording now. So what I was saying was just now Wanderer sent me his data dump, which is artifacts metadata. In this, you'll have bunch of directories. In those directories, there are a bunch of files. We'll look at one of it, and the contents of the file is a JSON. Okay. Uh, Now, a way to think about like any data processing is I'm I love this way of thinking of map, filter, and reduce. Map is you're transforming a data from one shape to other shape. Filter is you're just removing some data that you don't want, and reduce is you're aggregating it. Uh, the simplest aggregation is just counting that data, that how many of these rows are there. Okay, so we'll start simple. We'll like look at the simplest command that is out there, which is cat. Cat is just basically gives you output of like the contents of this file, which you looked at with less also, but here it is just kind of outputting it to your command line. This another way of saying this command is doing a std out. You might have heard this term std out and std error. So most of the things that we are dealing with today is std out. There is another output type, which is where the programs are supposed to output their errors. Good so far. So next thing is you can kind of chain multiple of these commands with different things. One of it is we just ran the command less. You can do here, and it's kind of useless because you can do less on the file itself, but it kind of drives the point that okay, the first part is give me contents of file, pipe it to something else. I don't know what that is, and that happens to be less. You can do other things like counting the lines of this file content by doing WCL. This is just letting you count the number of lines. This is roughly 29 lines, I believe. Should be correct, looks like it. So this is like the most simple thing. But we are just looking at one file, right? And that is not going to give us any uh, work done because we have to deal with a lot of JSON files.
yeah,
Now,
cat is just the display, right? And not editor.
no, it's not an editor. It is just saying, give me contents of this file. Okay. Uh, Now there is another command, and one good thing with like LLMs is even I have hard time remembering all the commands. I usually do this, but this is basically your man page, so your manual page for all command line utilities, and you kind of had to hold this context in your head that what command does what. Nowadays, you don't have to. You just kind of specify that I need a certain thing done to any like good enough NLM, and it will do its job. But for now, we'll just like look at a few commands to explore. One of it is find. Okay, so what does find do? It kind of helps you list out files. Okay, so I can tell it find it in this directory. Uh, Type that I am finding is just a file. I can even give it a pattern that this is the type of pattern that I want to match on. Okay. Now we learned that we can do less because this will be a very big output. I want to just like look at it in a better way. So I can search on it, just go through it, and my terminal doesn't get overwhelmed. Right? So these are all the files that we have. Now one cool thing that you can do immediately is, I don't know how many files are there because there are directories and then in that directory there are files. I just want to count the total number of files. Can do that. There are 9,417 files. Wonder can uh, tell me if this is wrong, but hopefully this is right.
Yeah,
This is
that is correct.
Unix commands don't won't eat up your things. Now, another thing that you can do is, okay, I want to like kind of along with find, you can also give it a command that hey, like just execute this also with this list of files. So you can say something like this, right? And just now this will, what it is doing is it's kind of going through the list of files, then running cat on it, and then whatever the output is, it is piping it to WCL, which is saying what are like if all the files combine, what is the number of lines that I'm looking at, which is roughly going to be 310k or 32k. Okay, so we are like kind of getting close to what we want, but what data we should process, but it's still far. Like we're just counting lines, nothing amazing here. Uh, Now there is another nice command line tool called JQ, which is pretty nifty because what it lets you do is process stringified JSON as JSON itself. Like you can do lookups and a bunch of nice things with it. So let's apply JQ to just one file and see what we can do. Let's go back to our cat and do JQ and just do dot. Okay, not much has happened. So let's do man page again. I usually search for examples. There you go. So here, what it is saying is my lookups are like this. If I want to look up a field foo, I can do dot foo with these quotes, and it should give me that data. Let's try it out. So we have, let's look at this data. We can maybe look up the category. And I think I messed up that example. Oh, that's correct. These sticks are wrong. Let me just copy that. Let me try just with a single quote. Yep. So what we have done is give me the contents of this file, then run command JQ and pick up category. Now, can we do more? Like, can we say that, okay, what are the major categories out of these files? So how can we do that? Uh, First, let's look at this guy. We ran the command find to find out all the JSON files, right? Now, one way to do this is just do cat and then do JQ and run out it. Other is you can run the whole command here like this. Okay, and do less here. Okay, so what it is doing now is giving me all the categories from all the JSON files. Now, what more can we do? There are even nicer things. I want to count uh, all the occurrences. So there is a command called unique, and unique has a parameter called C, which counts things. But for unique to work, you need to sort that data. That's a prerequisite for unique. So we'll do that and see if we can count things. It's going to take a while because uh, it's going through all these files, and then it is going to sort that data, and then it is going to uniquify that data. Should be about a minute or two. Now, this is like just we are just processing JSON data, but you can think about the applications that like you can apply the same thing to different areas. One of the most common areas that I found myself doing it is access logs from load balancers. So you're looking at your Nginx or HA proxy and you just want to go through the logs. You don't need a lot of fancy tools. All you can do is just look at find, go to the files. We have not looked at grep yet, but grep is like you're doing pattern matching on the content. We have done pattern matching on the file name, but the same way, if you want to do pattern matching on the content of the file, you can do grep, and then you kind of process that data to get to a point where you are getting some insights. So looking at it from the point of view of map, filter, and reduce, what we are doing is this is kind of like first we are doing filter that I don't want any other files. If these directories have, let's say, XML or YML files, I don't care about it. You are kind of filtering on it. Then you are doing a mapping operation, which you are like kind of transforming the JSON to just saying I need the field category. Then you are doing a reduce, kind of restructuring the data, sorting it. And one more reduce is aggregation, which is you are counting it by category. It's taking a quite a while to sort this data. I think this is the first time we are doing 30,000 uh, entries on this.
Yeah, at that time, I think you had combined everything into one line.
Yeah,
You removed this time. You didn't do that this time, right?
I think there's something wrong. Let me just debug this. I want to count it first and see if this works, if at all. Well, I'll also copy the command I know to be working and try that out also. Okay, there's something wrong here. Let me try the modified one. So in this modified one, what we are doing is we are going through artifact data, type of the search is file, name is JSON, but we are just doing a cat. Then we are doing a bunch of transformations, like we are removing new lines. We are putting every JSON on a single line, and then we are looking it up via category, and then sorting it and counting it. Uh, Both of these commands, the one we tried before and this should not have any difference. It's just that this is the one I know to be working. This is not working mostly because I have messed up the exec part of this uh, find command. So as you can see, like what this is done is these are the unique categories and these are the count of things. So I'm guessing you have also used some synthetic data generator. That's why the distribution is so evenly spread across.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Uh, what I had done is I have also generated three versions. This is 50,000, this is 500,000, and this is 5 million. I just wanted to see if my laptop can process 5 million uh, entries. So let's try that, and we can keep exploring in other tmx. Okay, I had a few more examples just to drive the point home. So I also created a log which looks like a your access log for Unix. You must have seen these logs whenever you are working on like web servers, right? Uh, like who is accessing this server, what is the endpoint, what is the type of the endpoint, what was the status code that they returned, right? Uh, this is like, I think anybody who has worked in like web, they have to look at this in one time in their career, and knowing things from like doing things from shell, this gives you that uh, superpower that you can do a lot of things just without like looking at Kibana or other places. They are good to have, but sometimes you just don't have that luxury or just a urgent situation where you need to look at data quickly. So let's try and kind of debug this. So first we looked at custom log. That's great. What we can do is something like this. But this is not JSON. Like this is like just a standard log format, and each value is separated by space. Where there is value missing, it has added a minus, right? And everything is like separated by space. So what can we do? So there is a command called cut, which can help us here. I'm just looking for its reference that I have typed out. Okay. So what I'm doing now is uh, I'm saying cat custom log. Let's look at what cut does, so you'll know what you're doing. Okay. So what did it do? It is saying that okay, cut at the first occurrence of quote. Okay, let's remove this so you'll know where it's cutting at. So we have 0, 1. This is where the 0th index is, but what it is doing is, I see it's has this factor also, and then uh, the second thing is cut at the second occurrence of space. Okay, so how does this look like?
What is the F3?
So F3, let's look at man page. That's a better way of. So F is one of the parameters that you can give, right? The list specifies fields separated in the input by the field delimiter character. So D is the delimiter where you are cutting, right? Uh,
Yeah.
F is basically which output field you want to select. So let's select,
Okay.
let's change this parameter so you'll know better. So let's put 1. right? So what is happening now? Let's look at our original output, right? So this is your one because this is where you split it, right? So let me do one more thing so you can look at the same output. Okay, so this is your first line, right? Now I am doing this. Let's just keep first line. What I'm saying is, uh, give me the cut at this delimiter and give me the first column. Like think of this as CSV, right? So this is the first column. We can also say, give me the second column, which is
Got it.
this, because it has again been split at here. I don't know why it's not a zeroth indexed. It starts from one. It's very unusual for any tool, but that's what they're doing. Okay. So what are we doing now? Let's say we want to kind of look at status code. I just want to kind of aggregate on status code saying that how many 200s are there in this custom.log, or even better, what is the distribution of status codes. So what we'll do is we'll say F3, right? But now we got this guy, right? We don't want it, but because it's kind of giving us this part, I want to again cut on something which is space. So my delimiter is space and my column is F1. Did I get that right? Okay, F2 because there's a space here also. Okay, so it is giving me one, then this one. So we have 200 now. So now all I have to do is remove this head and I have the whole processed list of status codes, right? Now what I have to do, my favorite two commands, sort and unique. See, this is also a very big file, so it's going to take a while. So your maximum distribution is for 200 and you have 500 and 02. Right? You can do the same example for other things like path. At which path is being accessed the most. Okay. Okay. And then you right. Now you just remove this part, sort, and do unique. Right. It's a random data generator, so the distribution is unique. Mostly, these guys will be up there. Depending on your uses, this will be lower, right? You get the general idea now how like there are different places you can use the same thing. Any questions? I had a material for 30 minutes which I've covered, but we can explore more. Oh, there are more people who have joined in. Welcome, you folks. I don't know at which point you have joined, but if you have questions, please feel free to unmute and interject. Hey Vikhyat, hey
Cat,
Agent P.
cat never modifies the file, right? What if we want to modify the file?
No, no, it will never
That
modify the file.
prints.
It just prints out the contents of that file. All right, I'm going to stop recording because whatever I had to share